Why do you think the Browns shouldn't trade back? I know you've addressed this on the Locked On Browns podcast. Why are you do not trade back? Warning, warning, warning.
So I've kind of come to the realization, and I will say, like, this is a little bit of a walk back for me because earlier in the pre-draft process, I was saying the complete opposite. I was saying I think the only options were take a quarterback or trade back to maximize the potential of this pick and get more draft capital for a team that has a lot of needs to fill. And I'm not saying it's a bad idea to do that if they decide to do it. If that's ultimately what they decide to do, I get it. But I know in some conversations that Albert Breer has had, and he's kind of reported this on Sports Illustrated, and I've heard this from some others as well. Like the evaluations of players like 4 through 50, none of them are like so vastly far off from each other that like like I guess my point here that I'm trying to make is like the two players that are at the top of this class, non-quarterbacks, Carter and Hunter, their grades exceed what like the next like several rounds of players are going to sort of be. I once you get after those two guys, like the evaluations start to sort of be same for like the next group of players, and then the next group of players kind of after that. So I just think it makes more sense if you're at two to take the best possible player that's available to you. And I think that these two guys that are being talked about in Hunter and Carter are a step above or a couple steps above this next group of players. And so if that's the case, like I'm just going to take one of those guys and kind of keep it moving. So again, I understand why the Browns would consider it. Andrew Berry has a tendency to trade back at times, but I think that based on the two players that you're choosing between, or at least it seems like they're choosing between at this point, the grades on those two or the impact that those two guys could potentially have at the next level is just exceeds that next group of players. And so I do think there's enough of a drop off there that I'd rather stay put.